There we go. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to what Olgita and I have been inspired to do, is to share with you these. We cut it down to 3 steps, 3 crucial mindset tools that we believe are so important to share with children these days. And what inspired it was I interviewed Olgita and her son Max, who's 7, on my podcast, in November, and we had an outpouring response to the podcast episode. And I don't know if anyone, I have a podcast that's called Uncover Your Magic, and I found her son on Instagram, and I knew there had to have been a mother behind his knowledge, his confidence, the ability to communicate at a 7-year-old. And I went right to the source, and I said, please, I would love to interview you, because there has to be a mother behind here that has raised him like I have raised my daughters. And my daughters are 15 and 17. And I have raised them with these tools as an older mother. I had them when I was 37 and 40. So they're 15 and 17 now. And they've been raised with these tools that now I see as a teenager have worked. And it's amazing as a mom when you're programming these children, when you realize it really worked. So now I see the fruit of my labor. And as a podcast host in the beginning of 2020, it was inspired for some reason. I had people reaching out to me to help their children when we were in COVID. So I created a class called Raising Confidence, and Raising Confidence turned into parents wanting to learn what the teenagers and even 6-year-olds were learning, because it was changing the entire family. It was the vibration in the home was raising, and they were sharing it with all of their friends, and they were like, whatever they're learning, we need to have this. I mean, in my heart, it was like it was starting to, the momentum was picking up. So here we are, 2024. I've taught 4 years of this course to both parents and children. And once we came together with Olgita in November, I said, oh my gosh, if we could come up with a course and do it together, how powerful would that be? And so we decided we would come up with this course, and the name of it is How to Raise Happy Children. And we believe, and I can't wait for you to meet Olgita, but what we believe is, the therapy and all the little things that these parents are struggling and trying to figure out a way. Like, if you could just know these 3 things, it would change everything. And we know that the money that is spent on therapy and all the different things that we try to do to help our children, because I know as a parent, that's our number one thing. I honest to God think that what we have put together in this program would solve that. So, Olgita, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, hi, everyone. I'm glad to see people join in, and more people's going to see later, right? Because we're recording it. So the course, as you mentioned, is called Raising Happy Kids, right? But the other hidden name we have behind it is Unscrew Yourself So You Don't Screw Your Kids. I think that was precise to me personally as a mother. So I'm Olgita. I'm an educator. I'm a teacher by profession. I'm also a producer, and I have an amazing son. He is 7. He is a little actor and singer and dancer, and a chef. He has his cooking channel, and he's going to be on Kelly Clarkson show tomorrow at 2 p.m. Don't forget to watch it. So we're going to have like a little episode with him at the end of it. So yeah, everything is amazing, but guess what? It hasn't always been like that. If you look at our life from the beginning, how we got here, it was a completely different story. I was a mess. Our life was a mess. We had a lot of negativity going on. I had a nasty divorce. I had almost eviction. I had a lot of lawsuits, a lot of craziness going on in the middle of pandemic, and he didn't even have a job at that time because he was little. So what I was doing, I was surviving with him and keeping up his cooking and stuff. I never took it on him. I wanted to be, sheltered him. But what I was doing, I was surviving. I was overcoming. I was trying to break through. I was struggling, and guess what I was doing? I was sharing it with all my friends. I was dwelling in it, and we were discussing it every day. And I was depressed, and I was devastated. I had sleep deprivation, insomnia, and at this time I was trying to raise a child. And this is exactly what I realized then, that the only way to stop it is to stop creating it. Because now I believe that this whole mess I created myself with my energy, because when I got into this, I was needy. I felt unworthy. I felt very little. I didn't have confidence. And maybe at some point I was even desperate. So when you vibrate all this, you attract this. And the more you talk about what's wrong, what's happening to you, the more you create it. And this is exactly what I was doing. Every time I was talking to my friend about it, that's the only topic I was talking about how things, went wrong, this and that happened to me, who to blame, blah, blah, blah. The worse it got. Once I got out of this situation, my energy completely changed. And the only thing I really stopped doing, I stopped talking about it. I helped many women, but I stopped creating it for myself. And once I realized how powerful we are as parents, as mothers, as a human being, just as a being, my life completely drastically changed. It all started here, and it all started with my energy. So the first thing I want to say to parents, whoever is watching or whoever is right now, I want to say, repeat after me. Being a parent is the most important job, and we're doing amazing. Just by showing up here, just by watching later, it's amazing because you're a good parent. Even if you don't think you're a good parent because you're trying. You're not trying to justify. You're not trying to put your child in therapy or doing stuff like that. You're trying to become a better person, a better parent for your child. And that's already makes you an amazing parent. So hear me out. You need to hear that. So just say thank you to yourself and say that you're amazing. So the point about the emotions I wanted to talk today is, if you look at my story, what I was feeling, I was attracting. And this is how it works. You can go to different workshops, you can read all the books, you can go to psychics, you can pay money to therapists. That's what I was doing too. I was in therapy, and in therapy, what do? You go deeper in the trauma, you dwell on it, you discuss it in details, you relieve it, and the therapist goes, yes, that's unfair, that shouldn't have happened to you, blah, blah, blah. But what we are trying to do now, especially with kids, we do the opposite what therapy does. You do not need to be stuck on what happened to you in the past, because even if it's bad, you can just not live in the past, because that's going to create you the exact same experience in the present and in the future. So the moment you try to feel better than your circumstances, it shifts the energy. And all emotions pretty much are valuable. There are no such thing as a bad emotion, which is also was shocking to me to realize, because we are programmed by society, by education, that it's not okay to be angry, that it's not okay to be desperate, it's not okay to feel sad. We all should be like happy and grateful to what is happening right now, which is so unnatural, because it's quite the opposite. What I'm teaching my son, and I had to learn myself, that every emotion is okay, and they're all very important. And every emotion is an electric impulse. And if you try to shut it down the minute you feel it, then it's going to come back. It's going to find the way out. And it's going to come back as insomnia, as a disease, as anything, but it needs to find the way out. And if you feel sad, I always tell my son, for example, with Kelly Clarkson show, what happened was, they said that they're going to fly us to New York and they're going to videotape this episode here. So he's going to show up in person. And one of my son's dreams is to go to New York. And I kept telling him, like, well, you book a job and maybe we're going to go to New York. So he kind of booked the job. They confirmed. We didn't have the tickets yet, but I was too excited. And I told him, hey, we're going to New York. So he was so excited. But when the producers called, they changed it and they say, hey, instead of New York, it's going to be live from your home. And when the conversation was over, he started crying. And I understand why he was crying. So I teach him to say, like, I'm sad and this is okay. I feel bumped and this is okay. I don't think it's fair and this is okay, right? And you kind of teach to talk them to talk to yourself, to your body, to your being, to your soul, to whatever you call it, that this is okay. I'm feeling like that. And I asked him, how much time you think you will need to process it? And he said, I don't know. It's like, it's okay to be sad, but then just remember that it's not the last chance and it may happen again, but I totally understand that's how you feel. What happens with us and parents, when because there is such a pressure to be a parent, to be a role model. Like, we're a role model, but it comes with the pressure from the society and again in education that you always have to be perfect. You always have to show them by example. But sometimes I cry in front of my son, and this is normal, right? It can be tears from happiness or not. So we're teaching them not to filter the emotions, but to admit, accept, and respect how you feel right here, right now. And then you can kind of like soften about it. And you notice what's going to happen is if you shut it down and try to like, no, I'm not going to feel like this. I'm not going to do it. You're going to be fine for a little bit, but then it kind of keeps coming back. So once you sit and acknowledge, like, this and that happened to me, this is how it made me feel. You can even list it. And this is okay. I created it because, again, it may be shocking. You may not understand it now, but everything which is happening in your life, you created. And the minute you stop blaming other people, the minute you stop trying to find the reason, explanation, just accept, admit, and say, like, I created it and I forgive myself for this. Or I didn't know what I didn't know. Right? So the minute you respect, no matter how you feel, is it good or bad, the minute you start judging yourself, the minute you become kind to yourself, energy changes. And guess what? Your kids feel it. Because you cannot raise a happy child if you are unhappy, if you are in denial, if you are struggling, surviving. Even look at all these movies we have. Do we have movies about people being just easily happy, enjoying life? No. All the stories we have about people, overcomers, achievers, strugglers, those who did this and that, the whole frame of living a life, for some reason, should include survival, should include suffering. And this is how we grow up. Look at our books. Look at our stories the school teaches us. Look at all these limitations we have. So we become so addicted to the life we don't like that it becomes the norm for us to feel sad, upset, and guilty all the time. We don't even notice that we feel it all the time because we don't even ask children, how are you feeling? We ask, how are you? And we don't need an answer. Because for some reason in America, how are you doesn't require an answer, which was also shocking to me when I moved here. So if you teach your children to answer the question, how are you feeling? If they don't know, you can explain to them what the feeling is. Maybe you can do it like on a panel or on a picture, just draw themselves and use the colors, like sad can be blue, anger can be red, right? But if they don't teach that at school, and they're not going to teach that at school, because they don't need to. They don't need kids to be that aware of themselves because they want a convenient citizen. They want a person who's going to come to school from 9 till whatever at exact same time, early in the morning, whether he wants it or he doesn't want, he has to. Have to is already imprinted since you're a little kid. Whatever you feel, whatever you want is not important because you have to. And then what happens is we have kids who are programmed to be a convenient citizen, but they don't know how they're going to survive in this always changing world. Always changing world. And if you look at all this news, we don't even know the profession the child is going to get, whether it's going to exist in a couple of years. It used to be simple. You're at school, you get the profession, you get the diploma, you get a job, and you're fine. It doesn't work like that anymore. It doesn't. You look at the news, it's all negativity, taking sides, people getting angry, wars, this got killed, that got killed. It's all for you to distract from how powerful you are, because kids come into this world like a sponge. And it's our job as a parent to show them how to understand themselves, how to process the emotions, and how valuable this is. They need to be armored for this world. They need to be not prone to depression. They don't need therapy, because therapy does the opposite, as we mentioned before, right? So I would rather teach and show parents by our examples how you can teach them the emotional intelligence, how to understand the emotions. And I'll show you on the panel, which is also very interesting, because again, the program says that we should feel like a certain type of emotions to be a normal person. And I'll show you. I'm using this from Lola Jones. You can look at her materials as well. She's amazing and very talented. So if you look
say
at the
that,
emotions,
what's her name?
Lola Jones. That's the file she created. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you see, do you see it okay?
Yes, we can see it.
So what she's saying is that we have all these emotions and they kind of structured like that. So if you feel shame, unworthiness, despair, and all this grief, depression, this is where I was, right? Fear, sadness, jealousy, hatred, rage, revenge. This is all low vibration, like really low vibration. And if you stay here, dwell on it, and is some of you using your friends, your best friends, to justify your suffering, right? By telling them over and over what happened or this and that. If this is what you're doing, you can actually say yes if you recognize yourself in this stage, or you have ever been there. So this is what you're going to say. There is no growth, there is no flow, and you're going to vibrate on the level of these feelings, and you're going to attract this more. But what's interesting is once you pass this point, and this is a process, you have to let yourself process it. It shouldn't happen like overday. But with the minute you start being aware of that's how you feel, noticing and acknowledge this, it's going to get softer and it's going to move. It's going to move gradually. So then you can experience doubt, confusion, and uncertainty, worry, disappointment. And then once you get to the thing when you just do not care, you felt frustration, aggravation, and impatience, and then you just at acceptance, bottom, and you don't care. Once you don't care, it's actually really good, because you are not holding to all these heavy emotions of struggle, of surviving. You're lifting up. And because you're relaxed, you don't care about this. You're not holding on to this. You're getting lighter. And what's interesting is when you past this point, that's when you're going to feel optimism and confidence and self-esteem and interest and courage. But you cannot go from here all of a sudden to here. That's what society and people and education is teaching us to do. It's impossible. You cannot just fly all of a sudden at this. You cannot be, let's say you're an athlete. You can't just run all of a sudden 5 miles before you train your body to run 1 mile, right? It's impossible. Your body's not going to do it. The same is happening with our emotions, with the way we feel. We're trying to go straight from depression. We're taking pills, go to the pharmacy, go to the therapist. We're looking for the quick fix. But it never fixes the problem, because this is the pattern. And this is where we're stuck, most of us. And we are so unaware of this that it becomes like familiar. This is your life. You wake up and the first thing you think about the problems, and then you feel it. And you kind of not allow yourself to feel happiness and to go here, because you feel like these steps are wrong, but they're not. Check this out. Once you pass the revenge and you come to anger, anger is actually a good thing. Anger is amazing. When you feel anger, it means that you are going to do something about it. When I felt angry at myself, and that's what happened. Once I felt angry at my situation and acknowledged that only I can create the life I have and only I can change it, I made huge changes in my life. This is how I moved to the USA, because I get angry at the situation. I didn't feel like I belong there. I got angry at my English at that time, and I learned it that fast. So I got angry at that situation, and it's like fast track you to another level. So if you feel angry at yourself or at some situation, don't blame yourself. Don't go down to guilt, because most parents feel guilty all the time, and it's draining. You don't even notice that you feel guilty, because it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm not a perfect parent. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to notice the emotions you have. You have to be aware that that's what you're feeling, and this is okay. What's not okay is to be stuck there. What's not okay is to judge yourself. What's not okay is to express anger aggressively on others, or be in denial, or take it on your kids because you don't want to accept that this is how you feel. This is not okay. But to feel all these emotions, all of them, is totally okay, because you're a human being. So the point is, what I was trying to tell you is that emotions are part of life. And when you are teaching kids, this is number one of the first things which I feel is like survival for them to learn, to understand how they feel. And no one's going to teach them. There is no such subjects at school. That's why we have so many broken people. That's why we have so much violence, so many kids on drugs and stuff like that, because you can teach them science, you can teach them arithmetics, whatever, dance. They can be amazing, speak several languages. But when they're out in this world and you're not sheltering them, as we tend to, what skills do they have? What real survival skills do they have? How can they process their emotions if they don't even know how they feel, because parents don't ask them, how are you feeling? We only ask, how are you? That's it about this part.
Thank you. I'm going to go into what I really believe in is parents don't realize, when I was talking at the beginning that I was programming my children, that we program our children. So when they're from 0 to 7, that's when we're programming them. But 7 years old, they're 80% programmed. So if you can think of like Max Ogita, son, he's basically 80. He has 20% left until he's 18 to be programmed. So he's pretty much done. And so when you realize that, that's where what I call, we call limiting beliefs. We don't realize as a parent the words we're speaking, the things we say in the house, all those those familiar sayings like money doesn't grow on tree, you've got to work so hard. They start telling their children that they're not good in math, and they start believing all these things. So these beliefs start creating these limiting beliefs, which for me is the path to where, unless they get their everything that we're teaching tonight is like, it ties in like with what she just explained about the emotions and the energy and the feeling. That's all tied into these limiting beliefs. They're a lower vibration where, when you believe that you can tell yourself that you're, an amazing student. What are you good at? Like, have the vocabulary in your family that you start sharing these positive words of these affirmations that I believe are so important. So when I explain limiting beliefs to children that are, under the age of 15, it's pretty easy to get them to start shifting their thoughts and their words that they speak. That is how easy it is to shift a limiting belief, believe it or not. It doesn't take a therapist. It doesn't take hours of whatever, but all it is, if you only knew how easy it is to change your life, is by the words you speak and the thoughts you think. So understanding in the second module that we're going to teach is, when you have children, and I am like the word police in my family, and they know we don't even talk sickness. We don't talk anything like, it's so positive, not in a fake way, but in a way of empowering them to believe that they're so much more powerful than they even can imagine. And that's where the confidence comes from. So when they're around friends and they hear them talking about negative things or, oh, this is bad, it's really hard for them to be in that experience and that situation. So they realize when they're at home, they're like, Mom, like this is it's learning how to express yourself, to empower yourself, to empower the people around you. So they magnetize goodness to them because they're speaking the words of, really it's love and um like when anything, encouragement, all that stuff. So in my what I would love for anyone to do, because I would love to get everyone involved, is it does like affirmations. Like what are people, as a parent, what are things that you say in your house that are like positive, or are there things that you realize now after saying like, wow, I've really programmed my children to believe like things that are negative, I really need to shift it. Is there anybody that wants to share anything about anything around that, limiting beliefs or creating your reality with the thoughts that you think or the words that you speak? Anybody?
I'll talk.
Okay, thank you.
If you can, my voice is clear. So usually in the mornings, when they're going to get on the bus, I remind them to give compliments to kids at school or whoever they see. So every day they're thinking about that and trying to look for those good things.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
just in reminding them to speak with, if they're going to speak, have kindness in their mind
right.
first. Yeah.
When you realize that, I mean, compliments is part of, I will speak about that in what I teach in my morning routine. And, when you realize children, especially now as a mom, as a teenager, you see givers and you see takers. You want your children, we all want our children to be givers. So teaching compliments, teaching looking outward, like looking at I would like the glass is half full, like teaching kids to, these days with social media and all the phones and everything that's down, like having them lift their head and look up and realizing like the words they're speaking is so powerful. That alone changes the energy in the house. Like that alone changes the energy at school. That alone, your child goes on the bus and gives a compliment. Those words that they're speaking changes the energy to all the kids. They don't even know what has happened to them. They're like, wow, I feel really great. But when you realize how, just really think about the words that you're speaking to your children and the thoughts that you're thinking. The thoughts are just as powerful as words. It's all energy. So even in your mind, what you're thinking is creating your life. So like Olgita was explaining at the beginning, like all the things she was thinking, as soon as she stopped doing that, her life changed. But what if we could do that now with our children? What if we could change that now before they leave the house? Like my daughter is a senior in high school. She is so equipped with her thoughts and her words. She knows, like I know when she leaves, it's like that bird leaving your nest, which would have been in my, when my children were Olgita's age, that would be like, that's going to be forever from now. And it's like a snap of the finger. We'll be watching Max going to college soon or having his TV show on the Food Network. But when you raise your children to have empowered thoughts, empowered thinking, empowered words, and sharing that with their friends, that alone will shift the universe. And I can't explain that more, but it just really raises the vibration. And then when they understand energy, because that's what it does for the collective, they won't want to stop. My girls can't stop giving compliments. They're at the grocery store, we're at Target, it's constant, but it's a muscle. So as a parent, it's crucial to create a muscle in these children, that it's an instant. They can't, like if they're not feeling well, I'm not saying I ignore that, but we speak wellness. We don't speak the sickness. We speak the wellness. So instead of focusing and dwelling on what isn't working, we're focusing on what is working. So all of a sudden, everything that's working overshadows the what, and it's like the energy that you focused on what is working and what is well is the main energy. So that all dissipates. And it's science. Like you could look it up and Google it. It is science, and that's how really the universe works. And it's amazing to live in a family where you can live with those words, live in that high vibration. I always say magic, but create magic together. Be in the car and being like, car rides, for example. I don't have those as much because Paige drives now, and it's weird because I know, I mean, most of you, if you have younger children, we spend so much time in the car. And the car ride alone, and I bring that up because I miss those days. But if you could spend that time in that moment, like realizing the gratitude that you have for each other, and you could talk about that, think of what that does for them. Like they're going to remember those days in the car of like, gosh, remember when mom was so happy and grateful and we played these songs and we were happy, in the memories. Every day is a memory. Like every second counts as a mom. Childhood is so short. Trust me, I'm at the end. And I used to be the mom at the grocery store that people would say with the baby, oh, it goes by fast. And I would say, oh, okay. And here I am at the end. So every second counts. And to create that moment in childhood every single day, and to look at it that way, and I look at every single moment. I wake up in the morning and makes me want to cry, but when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to be with them in this house. What magic can we create? Because it's all about that as a mom, is creating magic and letting them see the magic, because that's why we're here, and to create fun. Have fun. This life is to have fun and to raise your vibration and to live in that place. Oh, Geeta, I could keep going, but why don't you continue before I start crying? But it's like, I think as a mom, right?
Remember, it's totally normal. It's my son's birthday is coming this Friday, and I always get sad before his birthday. And I recently reached out to my friends, like, hey, mom's friends, if you get sad, like, yes, of course, we'll cry. So because you kind of miss, like, they're growing. You want them to grow, but then you don't. Like, hey, where's the little baby? Like, I miss those years. So I always get sad before his birthday. So I kind of already embraced it, that that's just how it's going to be. So it's kind of a normal. So I totally hear you and feel you, and that's okay. So what I would like to start is, this course is going to be very practical. Right, so we're gonna give some exercises here and there. So the first one I want to give is, if you guys just take a minute and write, maybe in chat or maybe on the list, just for yourself, how are you feeling right now? Like, what are your feelings right now? And it can be anything from happiness to sadness, whatever. Just be honest with yourself and just write it down, or share it in the chat if you want to.
I would love to have someone share it in the chat, or even raise their hand and share what they're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope that, having this call like opens your mind to like possibility. And if you're struggling with your children, like, gosh, there's so much hope. And just what Olgita and I believe in so much, just being in our energy, it will raise your energy, and you'll get
I'll tell you what, that because this course is not like, we don't even have the presentation and slides and stuff like that, because it's more than that. It's more about like deep diving in yourself as a person first, and then trying to do the same with the child, and then you're doing it together. And it's a wonderful journey. And most of you, maybe all of you actually, especially those who are going to stay and like do the full course, you're going to experience such changes. You won't not even have an explanation, but the stuff will start happening to you. Like, you will, I don't say maybe you will win the lottery, but this stuff is going to keep coming to you, because instead of judging and closing up yourself and feeling guilty and struggling as a parent, you're going to be a love source. You're going to be, love is the highest vibration, and it's not necessarily like love. Love can be in everything, actually, right? So when you experience this, and it's going to be practical, you're going to make lists, you're going to make exercises, you're going to do some stuff like practical stuff, and then it becomes kind of like your routine and a habit. You're going to feel so much better, and you're going to enjoy life like you didn't even know possible. And serendipities, there are going to be a lot of serendipities. There are going to be double numbers for a start, right? There are going to be some signs. The people's going to reach out who you probably forgot about it. There are going to be more opportunities. There are going to be more abundance in your life, because you're going to unleash the energy the society and programming and education doesn't want to, because it's completely opposite. So I guarantee that if you go deep dive with us in this, you're going to have so many positive changes. Like it's going to be great. So did anyone share no, but I hope you made a list of how you're feeling, because that's very important to do that. And yeah, so did you want to do the
as long as you're done, I didn't want to interrupt you. Yeah, I think I wanted to, we were going to end on vibration and how important a morning routine is. And the I am statements are part of the morning routine. And I believe in a morning routine. And when I have when I teach my class, that's the first week. And so I really want to incorporate that into this class, because I feel like children that have a morning routine sets an intention, and they create this muscle that when they get older, they know they have to set an intention. They know they have gratitude. It just becomes part of their life. And so if I could explain for like 2 minutes of what it takes in the morning to wake up in the morning and teach your children this right now. Like, don't even wait another day, because it's not worth the day. So you wake up, you smile before you put your feet on the floor. You think of something grateful from the day before. Have that feeling in your body. So it's going to raise your vibration before you even put your feet on the floor. When you smile, it tells your brain you're happy, even if you're not. Just put a smile on your face. And then say to yourself, I'm going to have a great day. Everything in your life right there, your mind is going to look for everything great. Then you get up, you do your brushing your teeth. I usually have these sticky notes next to the girls' toothbrushes, and they write 3 affirmations and they put them on their mirror. I am smart. I am kind. I am beautiful. I am healthy. But you put those up all week. By the time the week's over, the mirror should be full of affirmations. They're looking at themselves in the mirror, and they're seeing all the affirmations, which is so powerful. Like I said earlier, with your thoughts and your words, it's like putting it in your mind and you're believing it, which kids these days need that more than anything. And then they have a gratitude journal, and they write 3 things they're grateful for. Usually I always say it's from the day before, so it keeps it current. So they could get where they get, my house, my family, my dog. Make them learn to look from the day before, because it kind of makes them think, like, what was my grateful moment from the day before? Like, oh, that was so fun. I got to eat lunch with so-and-so. That was so it makes them sit in their day the next day and think, oh, they'll think of, this is a grateful moment. I get to put that in my gratitude journal in the morning. And then they set an intention. So 3 gratitudes, then they set an intention. An intention is anything from, I'm going to get an A in math today. I am going to smile more. I am going to sit at the different lunch table today, whatever. There's an intention. So think of, as an adult, as a parent, like if you don't have an intention for the day, you're kind of floating. There's no direction. And when you raise a child with direction, they'll realize, like, when I have a goal, it's there. Like it's the reticular activating system. Your brain has that in there already. So it's going to be looking for everything that you say it. And we'll talk about that in the class. But and then at the bottom, it would be 3 people that they're going to give compliments to, and then 1 goal for the day. And a goal is different than an intention. A goal is something they're working toward. You know, it could be, I'm trying to make the soccer team, and you know, what am I doing? I'm practicing more. I'm trying to get an A in math. I'm doing tutoring, whatever it is, but there's some type of thing they're working toward. An intention is for the day. So there's different things, but they're going to learn the difference between a goal and an intention. So that's my morning routine. I feel strongly about what Olgita and I are doing with this. We're going to start March 4th. I have in the chat, there is a link to the page where you can sign up. It's $100 off today till tomorrow at this time. So 4 o'clock Pacific on Thursday, the 22nd. It will be back to the original amount. So today you can get it for $100 off. There's a calendar link for a 30-minute call with us before in the chat. So we would like to meet you before we start the class so we could get to know you, cater it toward you, be more specific in things that you need to work on. We want it to be very intimate. We're going to have 1 Zoom call a week. It'll be 3 weeks. Like we said, we're going to work on emotions, understanding them, like Olgita talked in the beginning. We're going to talk about limiting beliefs and how we can turn them into empowering beliefs, and how different tools we can talk about thinking, and how we can create affirmations in our life. And then on the 3rd module, we're going to learn about vibration, how to raise it, how to be the thermostat in the room instead of be the thermometer. We're going to teach you how to create your kids at this level versus have them start down here and try to figure out how to get up here. It's, to me, like, to learn this as a parent, we don't have classes for parents. I could Google till I'm blue in the face, and there isn't anything like this. And I am so passionate about it. And so knowing now what my kids at 17 and 15, knowing what they are like now, and knowing their values, and knowing that they are set for life. If I were a parent now and I met Olgita and I'd be like, that's a no-brainer. Like, I need to know how to get my kids so I can feel that when they're ready to leave the nest, that I have the most confidence, but mostly that they have the most confidence to live a life with the knowing that they're unlimited. They can be, do, or have anything. That's my tagline, but I love that saying because they can be, do, or have anything in this life. And for them to know that when they leave your house, or even when they're in your house and they're living their teenage lives, to have that knowing and that confidence, there's nothing more you would want for your children. So that is the spiel. We made it an hour. So if you want to link any questions before we go, we will have the recording. If you want the recording, put your email in the chat as well. I'll send it, as well as Martha's.
Let me finish up a little bit with the with more. Let me show you one video.
It's a proud Max moment, right?
It's something which resonated with so many people because it was coming from a child, and it's very short and very simple. Yeah.
Did you know that your personality is your personal reality? So think about it. If you're happy, your reality is happy. So the whole world's happy. If you're like grumpy or something, same thing. The whole world's grumpy. So think about it. Your personality is your personal reality.
Yes, that's the cute Max that you're going to see on Kelly Clarkson tomorrow.
So yeah, that's simple, but it's also really big, and that's what we teach on kids and our kids, right? That they are creator of the life. And for those who listen today, and for those who are going to listen later, I would ask you to do one thing, like just an experiment, and to see how you feel in a couple of days, or if it sticks to you. I want you to do 2 notice and 1 drop. I want you to start noticing what are you thinking and how it makes you feel, because thoughts can make you sick. Seriously, you can get sick from the thoughts you're thinking. So start noticing and be aware of what are you thinking. And in the course, we're going to teach you what to do with it, with it, how to manage it, because there is a way of doing it. Number two, I want you to notice how your surroundings, your friends, social media, news, how all that makes you feel. And most of it is going to be negative. And one drop I want you to do is to stop dwelling, discussing whatever happened bad to you in the past or even today. You can mention it, acknowledge it, and let go. Stop discussing bad stuff completely. Stop it and see what happens. And then you can reach out to us and say like, hey, this and this. It's just like an experiment. Just remember, once you do it once, you can do it more than once, and then it becomes a habit, and then you can teach your child to do that. And you may create a very happy person, but first you need to create yourself. And in the beginning, it's not easy, but then it gets so easy and easy and easy. And imagine the life when you enjoy parenting, and where parenting goes both ways, when you're learning and you're growing with your child. Because remember, I hated cooking my whole life, but I changed that. And my son is very happy, but I had a choice to say, hey, I don't like cooking. We're not going to cook. I'm not going to do that for you. But if you raise your child with the intention to change together with them, for them to be happy, magic happens. Because parenting is not about controlling and being perfect and leading or bringing them to success. But parenting is about being happy and enjoy the journey, just like we're doing, right? That's why you're getting sad that they're getting like that. And if we said it's 100 off, right?
Yes.
So if you think about how much the therapy right now is, $250 per session. And it's like a fashion trendy thing right now to have your child in the therapy. Why would you trust somebody you don't even know to teach your child what to do with the emotions and how to process life and how to cope? Why would you do that? I would never. It's like, it's a big deal, and you're paying money for this. The person you don't even know. What if she teaches you what you don't want your child to know? Like, it's better if we, a source number one for them, and it's better if it comes from us, right? Because this is genuine and our intention is pure for them to be happy. So yes, it costs money. Money is gratitude, and it's an investment. But if your life is important, and if your child's life is important, which is, of course it is, you will consider it as an investment, right? Because it's gonna triple and double in the future and save so much money from the therapy and other stuff to fix your child. So let's not go to the fixing part. Let's just try to become and enjoy it and do it together positively rather than fixing later. Okay.
Amen, sister. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It was so fun to see everybody. Thank you.
Love what you both are sharing with the world. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.